What's good, everybody? It's Big Game James, man. We in these streets. We in these Friday weekend streets. Yeah, we in these streets, 3-day weekend. Woo, I need it. I need it like water. So today's going to be a good day because it's going to be about 82 degrees out here in the CO. Feeling good, feeling great. Just feel good today. 3-day weekend makes it better, but when it's warm outside, it's always really good. And I'm off this joker for 3 days. I need it like water. Once again. So this video today is about Tyron Smith a little bit, and we know, at least to my thought, that there ain't going to be an offensive lineman drafted in that first round. I like that. Now, y'all know I like the trenches. I definitely love the trenches. I love the defensive trenches, but I like the offensive trenches because if you ain't got trench work, you ain't winning work, right? But my thing, first of all, let me give a big shout out to Tyron Smith. I gave him hell from 2019 on until he left the Dallas Cowboys. I gave him hell. But it wasn't because of you, dog. It wasn't. I ain't never said you wasn't a beast, an animal, a monster, a dog, all that. You definitely was all that. But toward the end, I was just trying to get, something portrayed. But I'm sorry, Tyron Smith. Forgive me. You a beast. You was a beast. From day one, when you hit the ground in Dallas, I remember when they drafted you in 2011. The main thing that I saw about you that really stood out to Tyron Smith to me was that motherfucker he didn't look like a regular tackle to me. When you see these offensive tackles, they kind of, I ain't saying they sloppily built, but they just be they be big and they be strong, but they don't just be cut up, ripped up, muscular, strong looking. They don't be looking like that. You feel me? When I seen him come out of USC, that motherfucker was built like they all say built like a Greek, man. That dude was built not like a tackle. Like, I ain't seen no offensive tackles built like that. That dude was just muscular, huge, big. Like, you just didn't see athletic tackles coming out like that. And came in young, like 20 years old. I ain't gonna lie, I was hyped about the pick because you needed the offensive line to protect Romo, because that's what we have been crying or been yelling in the streets. Get this offensive line built up. Get this offensive line up. Get him some young dogs. And Tyron Smith was the start of it to me. You feel me? Because once you started with the Tyron Smith, you really built out around that. And you always got to have a left tackle. That's got to be your guy. And the fact that he was on the right side his first year when Doug Free was on the left, then he switched to the left. He had some struggles on the right side his first year, but when he went over to that left, it was a seamless transaction. The dude was a monster, was on the 2010 All-Decade team. I mean, the stories that you heard from DeMarcus Ware, the guys, Michael Parsons, that once Tyron Smith, that's the main thing they always said about Tyron Smith. Once he got his hands on you, and that was across the board. Even when you had the top 100 every year, Tyron Smith was in that joker year in and year out. And the main thing they always said about Tyron Smith was them hands. Once he puts his hands on you, you not going nowhere. That's a tribute to that natural strength he had, right? And just so many people gave him his respect as being one of the greats, and he was one of the greats. And another thing I loved about Tyron Smith was that he didn't talk. You ain't never hear Tyron Smith say nothing. Only interview you ever heard him in was when he went to the Jets. That's the most I had ever heard him talk in my life. That's the most I heard Tyron Smith ever talk in my life when he went to the Jets. So I love that about him, that he just put his head down, did his work, didn't do a lot of talking. Of course, a lot of the offensive linemen didn't do a lot of talking, but him in specific, he didn't do a lot of that talking. He just put in that work, and he's definitely a Hall of Famer. He's definitely going to Ring of Honor. I heard that they already gave his number up. That's kind of disheartening right there because the man just retired and he already gave his number up, but it is what it is. It's whatever. It's Dallas. That's how whatever. But just salutes to Tyron Smith on your great career. You had a great career in Dallas, one of the best careers I've ever seen as far as the offensive lineman goes. Larry Allen comes to mind when I think of the greats. Zach Martin, who just retired. But you was one of the dogs that had that offensive line that was so dominant for at least a good 8 to 10 years, and he was a part of it. And year in, year out, he brung it. So salutes to Tyron Smith. Everything you did to Dallas, you was one of the greatest I've ever seen in my life at the left tackle position, at least in Dallas Cowboys history. And I just want to say, as a fan, as a person who's a content creator who likes talking about the Cowboys, I can't give you nothing but praise for your career. And I just like to thank you. So with that being said, I'm also, since we're talking about offensive line, I'm going to say, I did a draft, my last mock draft. I took Tyler Booker because boss was pushing that in my brain, But I told y'all I didn't want an offensive lineman in the first round because I feel like I like Tyler Smith. I think he's really good. Terrence Steele, I think, is going to bounce back. We love Cooper Beebe. And I feel like Tyler Guyton, I hope his dedication is real, because if his dedication is real, he's going to be a good player. He has all the traits. You just have to have the work ethic with it. Not saying he don't, but I'm just saying you do have to have it with it. And if he does, then he can really take his game to another level, because they're going to be depending on him. All right, so he's got to really step his game up. And then Brock Hoffman is kind of the name we've been talking about, because you got T.J. Bass, you got Asim Richards, you got guys out there, but Hoffman came in, wanted that spot, came in, has been very vocal. He's a very hard worker, nasty attitude, gets on your nerves in a good way for Dallas, so you love that. His only problem is he's real light. He's not real light, but he light playing the guard position. You got to have power, and you got to be able to move people, and you undrafted, so you got to have some competition. So Cowboys brought in Robert Jones. They didn't stop there. They got Sadiq Charles. I know a lot of people talk to you, sis, about that one. Miss Charles, a lot of people talk to you about. I left it alone, but that's just kind of cool. But I remember Charles when he was over in Washington. He was pretty decent over there. I think that's one of the better pickups. Out of the three that they picked up, I think he's the best pickup. He abruptly retired, but I remember him with Washington. He was pretty good. So I like that. And then they also picked up Hakeem Adeniji, and he played with the Browns and the Bengals. So what I see is this. They're not giving it to Brock Hoffman. I like probably Clayton Adams is probably saying stuff about this, but they're not just giving it to Brock Hoffman. You got three guys they signed, 3 offensive linemen. 2 can play guard, 1 can play tackle. So to me, they're saying we're showing up this offensive line. Yes, these aren't the greats, but this is good depth. So when we go attack the offensive line in this draft, we'll probably hit it later, because we have some other things we got to take care of, like receiver, running back, D-line, linebacker. Those are the main things. Offensive line, to me, isn't a priority. So you get all that depth in free agency, and I feel like Clayton Adams helps that, because you got a new offensive line coach. You got to get him some players. Not saying these are the best of the bunch, but you're not lacking on that offensive line. It's not a terrible offensive line. Continue to get depth and have some good competition with it, and let's see what happens. So I'm cool with that, because I do not want an offensive lineman in that first round. The positions I do not want in the first round: tight end. I don't want a tight end in the first round. Offensive lineman, quarterback. I think that's it. I wouldn't take a linebacker in this first round, because I don't think there's no linebacker worthy of the 12th pick, to me. And I just don't see that. And that's not the biggest thing that you need right now. So those are the positions, and offensive lineman as well. What you need to get is that receiver, that running back, and that D-line, and that corner, and that linebacker. So really, you need to get on the 2 explosive positions with the receiver and the running back. And on that defense, you need that line, D tackle. You can get another edge. You definitely need corner or 2. You probably need to get 2 corners in this draft, maybe a couple linebackers, and you can get 2 D tackles. Because like I said, there's a D tackle named Todd Hamilton that's from Pickerington. You could get him on the lake, because he's already projected to be 6th or 7th round. But I'm talking about offensive linemen. I'm ending it here. I don't think the Cowboys are going to get the first round pick with the offensive lineman, because you just picked up 3 guys in depth. You got Brock Hoffman there. I feel like that's the position that they're loading up for Clayton Adams, but they're going after those explosive positions that you need right now. And Dallas needs some explosiveness on offense. They don't have it right now. So to me, this points toward attacking receiver and running back in those first couple rounds and get explosiveness and build that D-line back and get more depth later on in the draft, because you got a lot of picks coming back, and we'll see if there's any trade down. So that's just my thoughts. Salutes to Tyron Smith on his great career in Dallas. Cowboys add 3 offensive linemen in free agency. I feel like that pushes away from offensive linemen being drafted at 12, and they can attack that receiver, and we'll see how it goes. Give me your thoughts. You cool with them getting these offensive linemen and not drafting the offensive linemen in the first round? Y'all let me know in the comments if you could, please. Happy Friday, happy weekend, happy Easter, and guess what? He's risen. Peace. Big Game James, I'm out.